Good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank Brahman sir for inviting me to be part of this event. And probably you all remember last year, August 23rd, when Vikram lander touched the surface of the moon. Entire India, not only India but also Indians across the globe, were looking at this event. And we had a lot of children who were very much engaged in that. I remember I went to my sister's house after a couple of days of this landing, and my sister's grandson, who was just 2.5 years, he said, Nanu Chandranin Vikram Nodde. Means he just told, I saw the Vikram lander touching on the surface. So what this event has done has actually ignited the minds, and also you have seen how Indian space program has made a remarkable progress in various scientific activities, whether you talk of our 104 satellites in one launch, or touching the going around the Mars, or the moon activity. All of this shows that in our country, the technological capability is available to showcase that you can move ahead of others or showcase things even with your constrained resources. You can do things which world takes note of. Today, the real challenge of education, according to one of the ways of looking at is, what is the real purpose of education and what should we be doing? The way I look at it is, today the technology is showing us how human ability to mimic what is happening in nature, and he is moving with such enormous pace that he is able to actually bring into reality many of the things which exist in nature. If you look at way back when the humans started their activity on this planet, the ability of the individual to survive was very limited because he had to face the huge animals and he was being devoured. At that time, he found some simple tools around him, maybe a stone. He sharpened it and was able to impact the animal, and he started surviving. Then he took sticks, then maybe he took bow and arrow, so then he could fight these animals from a distance and protect himself. He also saw that his own ability to move on earth, maybe few kilometers per hour, he saw many animals moving much faster than him. So he domesticated them, started riding them, so that he gave himself an ability to cover large distances in a short time. Similarly, he saw birds flying. And then today you have already seen he has built not only planes but rockets to take him to other planets. And initially it was all about reducing his physical labor. That means he built gadgets, mechanical tools which will reduce his physical labor. Today we have seen machines which can perform the jobs equivalent of thousands of people. And then after the mechanical labor reduction, he also started looking at the intellectual capability of humans itself. Came the initial mechanical calculators, then electronic calculators, and today you have seen a small gadget which you are carrying, which Dr. Mohan Reddy pointed out, is much more powerful than the initial computers. And we are already getting into the age of artificial intelligence and all that. If you look at all this, and again, when he was seeing stars with his eyes, he soon came up with telescopes for seeing objects at distance, microscopes for seeing objects which are very small. But in all this, what we realize is, it is the human ability to mimic what he sees in nature and bring into reality that has been happening. So now coming back to my primary point, what should be the purpose of education? What should be the primary objective of education? If we see today, we are trying to explore the world. We have conquered land, ocean, airspace, and space is becoming the fourth frontier, and humanity is trying to get into exploring the outer world. That means exploration. Who is the person who is exploring? It is the human being who is exploring. If you do not understand what the human being is equipped with, the explorer does not know himself or herself, how can he be an effective explorer? Today, one of the things that we need to appreciate is this. Today, if you ask me, how do I build the robotic systems for doing things? It's a system which has got some sensing elements, some actuators, there is a controller, and then we write lot of instructions for the robot to perform external activity, and all these instructions are stored in one memory. Similarly, if you want the robot to sustain itself, protect itself, we build fail-safe mechanisms. That means we adopt in that methods by which if it encounters situation beyond its current capability, it has to protect itself. So there is another set of instruction which is stored in a second memory. That means I will say robot is 5 elements. It has got sensors, actuators, a controller, 2 types of memory. One memory where the controller picks instructions to perform external jobs. Another memory which it uses to protect itself, sustain itself, and prevent itself from getting damaged. Now, if you ask, can we map these 5 elements to human beings and see how it goes? Easily, in fact, I keep trying this. I keep asking people, can you map these 5 elements? 99% of the people are easily able to identify the 5 sensors we have on the basis of which we look at the world. Everybody is able to quickly identify. But if I ask them, what are the 5 karmendriyas you have on the basis of which you are doing all your external action? A lot of them have difficulty in identifying. But then this is where the problem starts. Then we have 5 karmendriyas. I'm sure you will all be able to easily identify. We have hands for work, legs for taking us around. Even the voice generating system, which is the one which is effectively communicating, enabling you to communicate. And similarly to excretory organs, what you have. But then we have identified sensors and actuators. There is a control system. I'm sure every one of us realize that there is something within us which is doing the job of controlling us, generating instructions required for our actuators to function like in a robot, and it takes input from the sensors. And then you will all easily recall, why does a child which is born in Karnataka learn Kannada? Why does a child born in Telangana or Andhra Pradesh learn Telugu? If he is born in Germany, he will learn German. All that is happening is that intelligence is listening to the sounds it is hearing from its sensors and trying to make sense out of it and reproduce it by generating commands to its vocal cord system. That means it is internalizing the whole process of mimicking. So there is a controller, sensor, actuator. Now we talked about 2 types of memory. One is what the child actually generates right from the time it is born till whatever time currently, if you look at, there's a complete method of recording all the activities that happens in the human beings, whatever sensory inputs takes, and the commands it is generating is all stored in one memory, and that memory is what it is using for external actions. Similarly, we talked about another memory which it is using for sustaining itself and protecting itself. If you do a little bit of thinking, I'm sure you will realize that when we entered this world, we come with something, with a born process. The birth process itself provides some instructions which is accessible to the controller which is running us. Now, my purpose of telling all this is only the following. Today, as science and technology is showcasing things, what human being is actually trying to do is mimicking what he sees in nature and reproducing it. All of us are endowed with the Asli intelligence, which scientists and technologies are bringing in artificial intelligence outside. And if we are able to make this part of it clear, the person who is negotiating the world and exploring the world is an individual who is endowed with all these 5 elements. And depending on how it grows, how it evolves, and how you can make use of it, the ability of the individual to negotiate whatever he or she is doing in this world can happen much better. And one of the key things is, this is where in so many ways education is losing track of what needs to be pointed out to the individual. Today, we teach so much about external activities and skills without making the child realize that there is so much mechanism operating within that. And if it works on that, it can bring in a huge change, not only to itself, but to its surroundings. Just the other day, one of the program, I saw a 13-year-old girl who had promised herself that she will climb all the 7 topmost points in the world. And by the age of 13, she had done 5 of them. Probably you would have seen just a few months back, a girl, Kamya, had also climbed Mount Everest. By the time she was 15, she wanted to climb all the 7, but she did it at the age of 16. Similarly, another person who traveled across America in cycle in a few weeks. We have seen people, born blind individuals, who can do 10 digit by 10 digit addition, subtraction, multiplication just by listening to that. That person said he was inspired by Shakuntala Devi. And similarly, for example, Vivekananda had a fantastic capability of remembering things. But what it all shows is every child is a scientist trying to explore the world, learn about it. It keeps asking questions. What is this? How is it done? But then what happens? We, as long as we are able to answer the questions of the child, we encourage and we even take pride. Hey, look at this child, such brilliant question it is asking. We showcase it to our friends and relatives. But the moment its question starts becoming difficult for us to explain, because we are not ready to accept that we know little, we start putting it down, suppressing it. This is what happens. So every child is a scientist of great capability. If we are allowing it to grow, we enable it, make it understand, I am sure the world will become a far better place, because what was said, it is not the content of learning that is important, but the process of learning. And it is here that the human system is a highly evolved robotic system. We are trying to comprehend it with all disciplines. You go from medicine to any other area you go. Everywhere, human being is trying to mimic what is happening in nature and then extending his own capability. Dr. Reddy was mentioning, our own eyes, if you see, we can see only between 400 to 700 nanometers. But today we have built gadgets which can see what is happening in the world in infrared, in the radar, microwave, X-rays. That means you are extending his ability to explore the world. Similarly, in terms of movement, we are capable of taking you to Moon and Mars. So like that, every capability that you have is getting extended. But this is where there is an opportunity and there is also a learning that needs to be done. That if you know what you have and how you can make use of it, we will be equipping the child with the greatest ability to survive, negotiate, and then transit in this world which is changing at such rapid pace. The changing pace creates more conflict. And today, the small gadget we are carrying in our hand is actually influencing us to such an extent, even we don't realize. Hormonal changes taking place inside us is known to this gadget ahead of us. So if that is the situation, what should you be doing? Can you only look at external things or also make the child aware of the self? So building awareness of the self is a far more important part of education. And to this also we need to pay attention. And if this land has shown to the world something, it is this, that you need to be aware of yourself. If you become aware of yourself, you can do far more important things, far more things than anybody else. So let me close at this point and then just remind you, teachers and all those who are interested in the process of education, the primary task is to build awareness in the individual. Thank you very much.